Welcome back to another review. My name's Andrew.
I'm Kayla.
And if you're not aware, we're doing a full year around the world, and we are doing a country review for country number 12,
Singapore.
Originally, Singapore wasn't even on our list to do this year.
Nope.
To be honest, India was on and off for quite a bit. That was the country prior to Singapore. And we ended up doing 14 days in India, and we ended up having a week that we didn't really know what to do.
Yeah.
So we looked at a map and we said, what about Singapore? And that's what led us to Singapore. In this video, we're gonna do a little bit of a breakdown of what we spent, where we stayed, and what we did, and some of our favorites along the way.
So, Andrew, why don't you kick things off with the money portion of our review?
Before we begin, it is
1:30 a.m.
1:40 in the morning
1:40.
here in Vietnam, and we...
Spoiler alert, that's where we're going next.
Oh shit, we're in Vietnam. Anyway, we wanted to crack a beer. So I'm drinking a Saigon, which I realize it's like a limited edition can.
Cute. And I have the East-West Summer. When you watch our vlogs for Vietnam, you'll see a bunch of East-West Brewing Company because that was one of our favorite places to be. So,
For the boys, grip it and rip it. And a sip.
cheers.
Tastes like beer.
It tastes like summer.
Let's talk money. Singapore is an interesting one.
No, it's not. It was expensive.
Well, let me get to why it's interesting, Kayla. We didn't spend any money on accommodation, and yet it was still
yeah.
one of our most expensive countries.
Yeah.
We were only there for a week, but if you've never been to Singapore, if you've never looked up Singapore, like myself, for some reason I think I was oblivious to Singapore being a country.
Yeah.
I don't know. It is as if you took some of the good parts of the Western world, brought them over to the east side of the world, and then just kind of like polished the edges like a little too hard, you'd get Singapore.
That's a very interesting way to put it.
There's a lot of investment in like improving cities and improving like what the infrastructure, which is great. But then it's like to a point where it's like you get fined for like the smallest things. There's an acquaintance of ours who joked that it is the fine city, which is a play on the fact that it looks really nice, what is fine, but also B, that you get fines for almost anything. We didn't come across that. We in fact barely saw police, but
I think it's because everything is video monitored.
but it is very like Westworld-esque, where you're kind of like, why is everybody so organized? It was eerie to some extent, but anyway, money.
It was great. We loved it.
We did. And
But let's talk about money.
We'll get to that in a second. So our accommodation spend was zero. I will talk a little bit more about where we stayed in just a little bit. Our food spend was $800, and we were there for 7 days. So I'll let you do the basic math there, but we spent over $100 a day on food. That's also alcohol, which probably was the bulk of that. We'll talk about that in a little bit as well. We also did do a little bit of shopping, about $350 in spending. So we bought these new mics for one, and we also bought a new hard drive. So one of the things, again, very interestingly about Singapore is two things. One, they have a lot of Western products that we're used to, but again, I guess that's the other aspect. A lot of our Western...
they're all made over here.
I was just gonna say that a lot of the products are like either Chinese made or they're Japanese. So that's why our shopping expense was a little high. And then finally, our transportation for 7 days was about $100. So it's a little, again, we took a lot of buses and subways and some...
But the buses were
But the
expensive.
buses were expensive. They were like $2, $3, $4 per ride.
I think I had one that was $6.
Yeah, they're based off of distances at times. And so, again, compared to some of the other places where it's like in the pennies, in the cents, it's quite a bit high. In addition to that, the other three areas I typically talk about are technology, which we didn't need to buy an eSIM because we have currently an Asia Pacific eSIM, which is lasting us for a while, so we didn't have to buy a new one. Our flights was $750 just to fly into Singapore. We didn't have any other flights, so it was a little pricey to get in. And then our activities. We only had two activities. One was we went through the botanical gardens, I think it was, and we went specifically into the orchid gardens, which cost about $32. And then we went to the aquarium, which was $85. All in all, our daily spend was almost $180. It's our highest country outside of Europe. A little pricey to be in Singapore. I'm glad we went, but I'm also glad we only did a week.
It's great. I would go again,
Yeah.
but I would want to make sure that I had a bunch of money before I went again.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's our money. Kayla, where did we stay?
So as Andrew mentioned, we did not pay anything for the stay in Singapore. That's because we used our Marriott Bonvoy points for the entire week and we stayed at the A Loft. Now this A-loft had 2 towers.
I forgot about that.
And we were supposed to be in one, and then they upgraded us to the other one.
Which I don't know what the difference was going to be,
Yeah.
but I think ours might have been slightly newer. I think we talked about
Maybe,
but
we had a pool, we had a gym, we had a kettle in our room, which is great. But that's pretty much all we had to cook food, which is why our food expenses were a little bit higher this month than they have been in previous months where we've made our own food.
Any groceries we bought were pretty much noodles or we bought snacks. We did have a mini fridge.
We did, yes.
Which was good because I think we got yogurts, fruits, whatnot. Just as a note, in the hotel they had a restaurant and bar, but even their like happy hour prices, you were like, what's the deal?
Yeah.
Like, what's the actual price?
Yeah,
so,
it's definitely, if you're comparing it to Canadian money, it's definitely more expensive than it is to be in Canada.
I think we said it was 1.4 to 1, like for every Canadian dollar or something like
that.
that. So it was, or I can't remember the conversion, but it was significant.
But that's where we stayed.
How did you feel about it?
I liked the A-loft. It was great.
Yeah.
It was in a decent location. We were actually literally inside a mall. You had to walk through the mall to get to our tower.
Mm-hmm. That had a McDonald's.
It had a McDonald's in it, which was great. Made going to McDonald's really simple. But it was a little farther from downtown. We were a little farther away from some of the areas that it may have been better to be in. And we did a little bit of research, but I think that we could have done a better job at choosing which location we were staying in.
Well, I guess because it was a little bit last minute, it worked out well because I think we had talked about, we were like, oh, we'll use public transit, not realizing the cost of it.
The transit system is also really, really well done.
Good,
they've pretty much got a line that goes everywhere.
And
they've got a north-south, they've got an east-west,
many buses
they've got a circle,
too. Like I will say, like I don't like a lot of bus systems because they're unreliable. These guys were pretty good with their bus system.
Everything you could tap your credit card to use as well, which was really convenient. You didn't have to buy a card. We did talk to a couple of the travelers who had to buy a card, and it cost $5 for the card.
Can I just say real quick, that's one thing I find is a gap online, because everywhere I looked was like, oh, you have to buy a card. Oh, they don't take card. Even people who I think worked at the hotel were like, no, you got to buy a card at like the thing. And we went we looked at it, and I think I saw like a Visa MasterCard like thing, and I was like, I think it works. And it was very reminiscent of Argentina. There's a couple places that even Europe, I think we were able to do in some places.
Panama was tap on, tap off.
Yeah, so it's super convenient. I honestly don't know why more countries don't do it, because it might cost a little bit more, but like it's so much easier than having to go buy something like that.
Yeah, just put up your prices just a tiny little bit.
Well, even if you're a tourist, I don't want to buy a card.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm thinking of people who come where we live. It's like if you're not doing single ride tickets.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're getting off track.
Speaking of all the things that we liked and didn't like, we might as well just launch right into that. So Andrew, tell me about your favorite activity that we did.
Ooh, I really liked...
Whether it's free or paid, because we did do some free events, free things that weren't listed in our activities.
So we went to 2 light shows one evening. One of them was in Gardens by the Bay amongst the, I guess it's called Super Tree Grove. But they alternate. Was it every month or every little while?
Every month, and then also sometimes they have like special events.
So they had one as we were going that was like Moon... What was it? Moon something?
Moonlight something.
Moonlight something or Moon... Anyway, it was Moonbase. The name was Moonbase. I'll be honest, I didn't catch on. I was like, okay, cool. Maybe it'll be kind of like space. Maybe it'll be kind of nighttime. I don't know what the deal is. All the songs were based on the moon. So, Claire de Lune, Take Me to the Moon.
Fly Me to the Moon.
Fly Me to the Moon as well, which was the sequel to Take Me to the Moon.
Moonlight Sonata.
Yeah, anything with the word moon or anything in that kind of area was there, which I thought was really cute. And the trees lit up to the music. But the cool thing, and Kayla had found this out, was like you literally go there and you can just park, like they have a bunch of seats, but there's certain areas where there's enough room for you to lay down. And again, going to our previous talks, everything's clean as shit. So I didn't mind laying down on stuff. Like there's other places I would have been like, maybe not. This place I was like, this is immaculate. So anyway, I found that was a really nice activity. I didn't think I was gonna like it. I thought it was gonna be a little corny or cheesy, and I think it still was, but there was something about it that I was like, this is really nice. Yeah. There's also a lot of vendors, so we got food, we got drinks, and I thought it was, anyway, loved it.
It was great. And like Andrew said, they alternate the themes. Themes that I had seen online. They did one specifically for the release of Inside Out 2. So they had like emotions. They had like a Broadway night. Okay. They have like a holiday special for like Christmas.
Oh, that's nice.
They had
They got a lot.
Anyways, they have like basically every month.
What was your favorite activity?
I don't know if it counts as an activity, but
I'll
one of my
allow it.
favorite one of my favorite things that we
is.
did is we went to eat at the Marina Bay Sands restaurant. So the restaurant that we went to was Spago. We had the view over top of the infinity pool that also looks out onto the city. And I thought we were just going for drinks because basically, if you've never seen anything about Singapore before, they have this giant hotel mall thing called the Marina Bay Sands, and it's comprised of 3 different towers and then this thing that looks like a ship on top. And basically one of the towers has this lookout point that you can pay, I believe it was $30 per person to go to this lookout point. And we decided instead of going to the lookout point, we would take those $30 and we would go to a restaurant in the Marina Bay Sands. So very similar lookout points, but we also got some good food. And I thought we were just going for drinks. But we ended up going and they had a prefixed menu that we ended up getting things off of. I
had like an appetizer, an entree, dessert.
Oysters and some octopus.
Yeah, I was trying to remember what I had. I think it was like a chicken something for one of the meals.
Salmon.
I had a salmon for one.
Anyways, it was
The
delicious.
dessert was
it was
lovely.
really great.
So
it was
good.
a wonderful environment and it was really cool to be at. And so when you really consider like the $30 that you're paying for the lookout versus food, I thought it was worth it.
It is obviously more expensive, but it's kind of a way of, I'm not saying circumventing it, but kind of getting a bang for your buck. So it's a little bit worth it. In this case, it was a little bit finer dining. It was great service. It was beautiful views. It was really nice. And they were great about it.
I will note that a lot of people online, especially travel hackers and things like that, have made videos about the fact that you can go up to the restaurant and buy the cheapest thing on the menu and save $20-something. I think since people have started posting those, they've changed some of their rules, because when we booked, we did have a minimum $30 spend. So basically we were guaranteed to spend the same amount as we would have on the lookout point.
It doesn't fall under our activities list because it fell under our food, but it's still worth noting that it was an adventure, if you will, in and of itself. Kayla, we went to 3 of the top bars in the world, 3 of the top 50 bars in the world. Did you have a favorite?
I think that my favorite has to be Jigger and Pony, and I believe that it also has the highest spot on the list.
It does, yep.
Jigger and Pony just had some really cool, inventive drinks. It was actually in a hotel. It wasn't the hotel bar. It was its own
it was like right
thing
behind it.
in the hotel. Yeah.
I'm glad you actually
favorite of the
mentioned.
3?
I think Sago House was my favorite.
Okay.
I did really like. So the third one was Atlas, just to name it. I thought it was beautiful. You know, the drinks weren't crazy cool. They were more of a gin bar, which, you know, to each their own. If somebody's more into just a gin bar.
If we were going for gin, I would have been really into it.
But I really like Sago House because their whole concept is looking for fresh ingredients and doing new drinks every week. So there isn't, like, in a lot of the places we've been to, they're like, oh, this one's been on the menu for like 10 years, or oh, this is our classic, it's won all the medals. These guys are like, look, we have, I think it was like 6 drinks or 8 drinks, whatever it was, every week. It's new. You got to check out our Instagram. Plus, they also had their menus there, but it's always going to be different. So I thought that was like a really cool concept, because for them to still be noted as being a top bar, even though they don't have like a set menu, kind of shows that it's not always the drinks, but rather the service and the atmosphere. So I really like that.
They wrote our name on the bar. They said hello as we came in. I do want to note that they do change the menu every Monday. So if you are going near the end of the week, sometimes you may encounter, especially during those busy weeks, you may encounter that they are out of certain drinks because they have finished all of the ingredients for that drink. So if you're planning on going and you're really set on something that they have that week, definitely aim to go at the beginning of the week instead of at the end.
Kayla, I know we only spent a week there. Was there any other moments or activities or things that we did that you wanted to kind of call out as kind of being like a fun time or something that you enjoyed doing?
I really liked the Botanic Garden. I thought it was definitely one of those things that, especially if you're trying to save money, like, you don't have to go to the Orchid Garden. We did, and it was really cool. But the Botanic Garden itself, you could spend a whole day walking around there, and I thought it was really great. We also drank some really good craft beer. So
the thing I was going to mention, no one's like, oh, I really want Singaporean food. So they're kind of a melange, a melting pot, if you will, of a number of different things, but they do have some smaller elements that may not be unique to them, but are very frequent. And what I will say is those ones tend to be the cheaper options. I was thinking about the coffee that they had. It was almost like a filtered coffee, very similar to a Turkish style, but slightly different. And then they had a kaya toast. Kaya. I apologize if I'm butchering it. They also had a lot of meat floss buns. There's a lot of food that I think culturally you could have gotten that would have been affordable, that you would have been fine. But I think those those tend to be overshadowed by a lot of their like more fancier restaurants.
I want to point out that you called them a melting pot, and it is so true because they actually have 4 official languages. Those are English, Malay, Singaporean Mandarin, and Tamil. It is definitely a melting pot, and you can definitely see that in their
I was going to say
culture.
their subway system had almost all their signs in all 4 languages. Yeah. English, I think, was a little bit more dominant in some areas. At least we noticed it because that's what we were looking for. I guess overall, Kayla, how do you feel about your time there?
It's a very green, very modern
Oh my God,
city.
we forgot about the Jewel.
I mean,
just go to the Jewel.
As soon as you fly in, you can go to the Jewel. What would you describe it as?
Yeah, green is a great word. I was actually very surprised by it. I was also going to say there's like a quiet organization to it. Everything seems to be organized, but there seems to be very little like noise. Now, I will say this is also coming off the tail end of us going to Cyprus and then Jordan and then India, which were all very loud countries for the most part, whether it be construction or vehicles or people. It just kind of had a little bit more of a noise, whereas this one was like very peaceful. And again, being in a hotel, the walls aren't always the thickest, but I felt like it was like very peaceful, very relaxing. So I appreciate that. So Kayla, last question as always. Out of a score of 10, how would you score it?
I would rate it pretty high. It's a country that I would love to go back to. If I had the budget to go back to it again, I think we were a little unprepared budget-wise.
Yeah.
But it would be a great place to vacation. It would be a great place to bring family. I thought that, like, the moment we got there, I thought if I could bring my brother and sister-in-law and nieces and nephew, I think that would have been really fun. So yeah, I want to give it a pretty high mark, I think. I'll go 9.
I will follow suit with a 9. I enjoyed my time there. I felt safe. I felt like I could revisit it. Was it expensive? Hell yeah. So far, that's our highest ranking.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Well,
there are probably some places that we may have like loved more in a romanticizing way.
Yeah.
But I think overall this is a very good level-headed rating of it. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you got a little bit of information. If you want to know more about Singapore, you can check out our last vlog that has everything that we did, everything that
our
we
week stay. Yeah.
ate
And if
all that kind of
there's something
stuff.
that we didn't cover, or if you have questions, or if you think we're 100% wrong, how dare you? But please let us know in the comments below. Like, comment, subscribe, whatever you can do. Share with your friends who are going to Singapore, maybe your friends from Singapore who have opinions or thoughts that we'd love to hear from.
Yeah.
But thank you once again.
Yeah. See you next week.
Bye.